When I got into real estate 12 years ago, I made two huge mistakes, and they were mental mistakes. They didn't need to happen, they were preventable, but they're also very common that agents make. Now, these mistakes aren't just for new agents. I see agents that have been in the game for 15, 20 years still making these mistakes. I'm going to break them down right now and show you what to do instead. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Massive Agent Podcast, episode 296. We're pretty close to 300. I should probably plan something for episode 300. That's crazy. That's just a month away. Welcome back to the show. My name is Dustin Brohm, your host here in Salt Lake City, Utah. And today I'm going to break down two huge mental mistakes that I made as a brand new agent, but I see veteran agents making the same mistakes still. It's crazy. Now, one of these is absolutely, both of them are avoidable. One of them is an absolute must that you fix, and one of them is not totally necessary, but in hindsight, I really wish I would have done it. So I'm going to go over those two. I think they're going to help you out a lot, regardless of where you're at in your career, regardless how many homes you sell, how long you've been doing it for. Maybe you're not even in real estate yet. You don't even have your license yet. You're actually the lucky ones. If you're just about to get your license, or if you're a brand new agent, man, I wish I knew this shit. I wish someone would have taught me this. Now, had they taught me this back then, I don't know if I would have been in the right mindset to listen or to take the advice, but that's up to you. Hopefully you're in the right mindset where you can hear the wisdom that came from experience and learn from it. If you don't, it's just going to be much more difficult, as I learned the hard way. This episode is sponsored by Keeping Current Matters and BAMX. Keeping Current Matters, also known as KCM, this is such a cheat code for agents. It would be impossible look, you're an agent, you have to wear all the hats in your business. Now, even if you are thinking like and acting like a CEO and you're building towards an actual business, you're still wearing a lot of hats. Being an economist is not one of them. Being an economist is not an income producing activity, but you also need to know what's going on with the economy, with interest rates, with the housing market, with, are values going up? Are they down? Are sales going up or down? What's going to happen in the future? You need to know this so you can help your buyers and sellers make better decisions. Well, KCM, Keeping Current Matters, that's what they do. All you need to do is try KCM. They have all of the data, all of the information. They dumb it down for us agents so that we can then dumb it down for our clients. They say, here's everything that's happening. Here's what it means. Here's some graphs and charts so that we can actually visually understand it. And then they tell you what to actually teach your clients on the timing of buying and selling. Should they get into investment or not? If so, where? All of those things. TryKCM.com/BAM is where you need to go. Try out Keeping Current Matters and see why it is a tool in the tool belt of so many of the top teams in our country. And you can have the same secret weapon that they do. Try KCM.com/BAM. Try it out today. And speaking of BAM, BAMX is an incredible new community for real estate agents. It's a community. It's a mastermind. It's an online learning university type deal. I mean, it's so many things. But what is so important is that you get yourself in an environment where you're around others that are doing or have already done the thing you want to do, and you have access to all of the how-to. BAMX is that. And for as little as $10 a month, you have full access. Use code MASSIVE at checkout. That's code MASSIVE at checkout to get a discount off of the whole year. Learn more about BAMX and everything included, all of the online courses, everything the community gets you. I'm telling you, it's incredible, and I haven't seen anything else quite like it. MassiveAgentPodcast.com/BAMX and use code MASSIVE. Let's get into these two huge mental mistakes I made as a brand new agent that unfortunately a lot of seasoned agents are still making. Number one, you see everyone as a transaction. I did. Now, the second biggest mistake is actually the cause of the first one, and I'll get into that one in a second. But I was told, I remember hearing this all the time, that you need to value relationships over transactions. And consciously, I get that. That makes sense, of course. But then subconsciously, I'm like, I'm fucking starving over here. I have no money. I'm broke. I need to sell some houses and I need to do it right now. So I was needy. I was, I had I was freaking broke. I needed to close deals. And so that unfortunately was fueling me looking at people as transactions. I knew that one relationship, if I did right by them, if I really helped them, and then nurture that relationship over time, I knew that could lead to so many more deals down the road. But when you're freaking broke and you don't have any savings, you make bad decisions. So the second big mental mistake was not having a savings runway. I had no money saved up before I got into real estate. I had no idea how long it would take to start selling homes. I had no clue. I actually spent all of my money just to get licensed and then to pay the dues and everything just to get going. 12 years ago, it was like $2,000, for the class, for the licensing, for the test, for the dues, all, MLS dues, all the shit, right? It was around $2,000. So because I didn't have any financial safety net, it made me see people as transactions. It made me focus on transactions over relationships. It's so, in hindsight, it's so screwed up, but it's so clear why that happened. So if you can get yourself in a great financial situation, or even just have another income stream, maybe that's a partner or a spouse of yours, that they have a job which is paying the bills, which lets you focus on doing your job without all that added pressure. I didn't have any of that shit. It was me. My wife was running a house cleaning business we were able to get groceries and stuff, but not much else. Thank God she was running that business and did that. And it wasn't even really a business. Like she owned her own job. Bless her heart, worked so freaking hard cleaning houses. She had a couple employees, and in hindsight, it's crazy. Had she not been doing that, we wouldn't have been able to even eat. So we had that, but I knew we're behind on bills. When you are talking with a potential lead or you go out to see homes, even if you are the most honest, the most ethical agent on the planet, you want to do right by everyone, you're super moral and everything, which I believe I am. When you, in the back of your mind, subconsciously know that you need them to buy a house, you need to close quickly, the sooner you get that commission check, the better, because then you can get caught up on this bill and this one and that one. You just approach things differently. Your advice is just a little bit more pushy. You tend to err on speed versus what their actual needs are. And I'm not saying that I misled anyone, but I was certainly pushier than I should have been. There were a few times where I was trying to keep a deal together when I knew that the best thing was, hey, let's just cancel this. Let's go find something completely different, start from scratch. If it takes an extra 4 months, so be it. That would have been the ideal thing, that if I was in a better financial situation and I didn't need the closing, that would have been my recommendation. But instead, I found myself trying to push to let's hang on to this. Let's see if we can work this thing out. And in hindsight, I didn't get nearly as many referrals as I should have from the clients for the first few years because I was acting like they were transactions. I was too focused on transactions and not relationships. As I started to finally figure some shit out and get some houses selling and, got caught up financially, not even ahead, but just get caught up financially, I was able to really understand, okay, let's focus more on the relationship. Whether they close this week or next year doesn't matter to me as long as I do right by them, because that's going to lead to more referrals and more deals long term. I had to get to a better financial position. In hindsight, I wish I would have had other income streams. I wish I would have had investments that were paying cash flow. I wish I would have had maybe another business that was bringing money in, or at least at a minimum saved up a bunch, because I could have approached every situation, every client, and focused solely on the relationship instead of the transaction. But I had to spend a year or 2 or 3 treating people like transactions. I don't think that they consciously felt that, but I'm sure somehow at a subconscious level they absolutely could. And it shows. Like when you go to a store, you can tell, a store that has salespeople, you can tell if they need to make a sale. You just can. If they don't need to make a sale, they're just like, hey, whatever you want to do. Like, if they don't need to make a sale, they may even tell you, hey, you should actually go buy it across the street. It's 50% off over there. It's a better product. When was the last time you told a client not to buy a house? When was the last time you told a client to not sell their house? Think about that. Now, if you haven't been advising people, I'm not saying that you're just seeing everyone as transactions and you're pushy. That's not what I'm saying. But when you are solely focused on building deep relationships, that's the kind of advice you give more often. And once I finally, like 4 or 5 years in, was finally able to really understand what everyone had been telling me my whole career up to that point, that you need to focus on relationships over transactions, which I didn't even want to hear in the beginning, because I'm like, you don't even know. I need some fucking money. So don't tell me to focus on relationships. I need transactions, so that's what I'm going to focus on. And I acted like it. But once I was finally able to really grasp what that meant, I started to get referrals. I started to get more business that led to more business that led to more business. So the sooner you can get to that place where you are legitimately only worried about building great relationships, you don't care if they close on the first house they see or the 100th. You prefer they buy one of the first few, of course. But if they don't, if it takes them time, or if they decide not even to buy at all and they're just going to keep renting, if that's legitimately okay with you and you make it very clear to them that you are not only okay with it, you support it, you understand it, you're there to help them even in that. Oh, you're going to rent? Okay, well, what do you need? Who can I hook you up with? What kind of services are you going to need if you're going to be moving into a new rental? And you can help them even though there's not a direct commission check in it. That's what builds the relationship, which leads to referrals, which leads to many, many, many more transactions. The stat that I've heard many, many times is that the average client, when you nurture them, when you do right by them and treat them well, each client should lead to 7 to 10 deals later on. Maybe that's repeat business from them, but usually it comes in the form of referrals, where you help someone get into their first house, or even you advise, hey, don't put your house on the market. Instead, rent it and then do this. Like you teach them some creative financing, for example, or they can go pick up something with seller financing where they take over someone's payments and is subject to transaction. Maybe you don't even get paid from that, but they're like, oh my God, like he put us first. That's amazing. What are they going to do when you put the client first? They're going to refer you to literally everybody. That's how this works. Focus on relationships where you're causing that reaction. If you can cause more reactions where people are like, wow, they bent over backwards for me. They obviously weren't even worried about themselves. They just wanted to make sure we were good. They're going to scream about you from a mountaintop. They're going to leave great reviews. They're going to refer you. They're going to tag you in Facebook posts where people are looking for realtor recommendations, which I know that's a blessing and a curse. Depends on where it is. If it's in a Facebook group, it's a fucking curse. But you get my point. I screwed up so bad, even though I was told relationships over transactions, because I literally needed transactions to pay bills and survive. I didn't get it for many years. I regret that. I wish that I had planned ahead, gotten into a better financial situation, saved up some money so I had some runway, which would take the pressure off so I wasn't being so damn needy. I think this is super common in our industry. The better financial shape you can be in, the better agent you will be. I believe that. And it doesn't mean you must be in a great financial situation or else you're an awful agent. That's not what I'm saying. But when you have no pressure, when you don't feel any pressure to get a deal closed, you're going to be a better advisor. Because in the end, we are advisors. We're not salespeople. If you think of yourself as a salesperson, I'm sorry, but you're an advisor. And the more you can advise people and actually put them first, I promise you, you will be closing so many more deals, because that's how it works. People want to work with an advisor. People want to work with an advocate, someone who they know is on their side and they trust, no matter what, to put their needs first and put your own needs as a salesperson on the back burner. And if your clients feel that you've done that, you get referrals. And that is the most powerful form of marketing there is. It doesn't cost you any money. And it's the amount of referrals you can get is infinite. You do a great job for one client, knock it out of the park, wow the shit out of them. They can refer you to 3 more people. One of those could refer you to 4 more, and so on. And pretty soon, hundreds of deals are potentially happening because it started with one. That takes time, obviously. You need time in the industry for that to play out, but it's absolutely possible. I talk to agents all the time who have businesses like that. It takes time, but my God, it will never happen. I don't care how long you're in the industry. It'll never happen if you're just seeing people as a transaction. If you close the deal and then they never hear from you again, that's probably an indication that you are treating them like a transaction and not humans. If you're treating them like human beings, and you want a relationship with them, you'd probably stay in touch. You'd probably check in. Like any good restaurant you go to, or any restaurant with a great server, they bring the food. A couple minutes later, they come by to check on you. Hey, how is it, by the way? How does everything taste? Do you need anything else? Can I bring you some hot sauce? Which for me is always yes. Are you doing that with your clients? Because if you're not checking in after the fact, if you're not helping them, like, oh, you're going to redo the kitchen? Well, let me refer you to this great painter. Oh, there's something with the AC, you need it tuned up. Oh, well, I have this great person. Let me get you their information. And you start connecting them with service providers that you know are great. That's more value. Then you become a valuable tool in the tool belt of your client, and not just someone who is a salesperson that sold them the house and then they forget about you. If you're not getting referrals, if you've been in the business for more than a year or two and you're not getting referrals, it's time to take a real honest look in the mirror. Why is that? You may not realize it, but you may be treating people like transactions. You may not be focused enough on the relationship. If this is too Pollyanna, if this is too if you don't like this conversation, then that means you're in the mindset that I was in when I was broke starting out and not selling shit. So if it's not a good place to be. So whatever reaction you're having to this conversation, catch it, notice it, audit it. And as soon as if you find yourself negatively reacting to this and you find out, there's some truth in what I'm saying, and it causes you to change your behavior or even just make a slight adjustment in how you're approaching your clients, especially right after the transaction, that could change everything for you. A slight adjustment can change everything. So I challenge you today, get yourself in a great financial situation. If you can get more streams of income, do that. Here's what's crazy. So many of the most successful agents still only have one stream of income, commission. What happens if you cannot keep performing and that one source dries up? You're broke. You're done. There's no business anymore. It's not a business. If you have other streams of income from investments or revenue or profit share, other businesses or affiliate income or referral income, and you have other streams happening, it makes it much, much, much easier. You know that if your client today decides to not buy and it's going to take 3 or 4 more months to find him a place, you're like, I'm good. I have money coming in other ways. It just makes you a better real estate advisor. I challenge you to find out where your blind spots are. I didn't recognize my blind spots until many years later, looking backwards. I didn't have anyone in my business. I didn't have anyone in my life to look at how I was doing things and challenge it. I didn't have this podcast back then. I didn't have anything like this to help me think about how I was acting and how I was doing things. So take this opportunity. One little adjustment can change everything for you in a positive way. And a couple adjustments could be absolutely life-changing. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Please share it with someone who you think would get value from it, someone who needs to hear this message. Please share it. It helps us to grow the podcast. We're actually getting very, very close to 1 million total downloads. We crossed about 910,000 earlier this week, and we're on track to break 1 million total downloads by the end of 2023, but I need your help. Help us to reach new people that don't know about the show yet. So consider sharing it in a Facebook group, with your office, with your brokerage, with other agents on social media, in your stories. Thank you for everyone who does do that, has done that, and will do that. I appreciate it so much. Thanks for listening. I'll be back next week. See ya.